Right now, all across America, entire cities and states are literally paying remote workers upfront cash to relocate. Active programs like Tulsa Remote and Ascend West Virginia are writing real checks to attract new residents. Regional initiatives in places like Northwest Arkansas are doing the same thing, competing to pull remote talent into their local economies. We saw how this played out for Remote Rachel, a marketing consultant who managed to cut her rent in half and pocket a substantial cash incentive simply by moving somewhere entirely new. But what the headline marketing of these programs completely obscures is a very specific catch buried deep in the fine print. Getting paid $10,000 to move is a complex transaction with downstream costs that catch almost everyone completely off guard. The appeal of a massive cash grant sounds great on a billboard, but it collides hard with the rigorous reality of actual relocation logistics. To understand your actual liabilities, you have to look past the gross cash offer and weigh the marketing claims directly against the hidden realities on the other side of the ledger. You need to know if these programs are giving you a genuine financial advantage or setting a logistical trap that will actually cost you money. The math here often works out in your favor, so the goal isn't to discourage you from moving. The goal is to force you to plan up front so you aren't blindsided later. Treating the advertised headline number as the complete story is the single biggest mistake you can make when evaluating these offers. The detail that surprises people the most has nothing to do with the moving process itself. It happens the following April, during tax season. The IRS does not view your relocation check as a gift. They classify that $10,000 cash grant as taxable, earned income. It doesn't matter that a local government or an economic development nonprofit is paying you. That money gets officially reported right alongside your normal income. This waterfall chart shows how the math actually works. You start with a gross $10,000 at the top, but watch how federal taxes and potentially new state income taxes immediately take a bite out of that initial amount. The only way to handle this safely is to use the freelancer strategy. Treat the grant exactly like 1099 income, instantly setting a percentage aside the moment each check arrives, leaving you with this smaller, true net incentive. The net financial benefit is still overwhelmingly positive for most people, but failing to plan for this tax liability turns a perceived windfall into a sudden, highly stressful springtime deficit. The next major mistake people make is moving purely for that cash incentive, completely ignoring the underlying local economy they are entering. Look at this quadrant chart. It maps out the strict mathematical relationship between the static cash grant you receive and the variable cost of living in your new city. If you move to a destination with a drastically lower cost of living, that $10,000 acts as a seed. It compounds into a multi-year savings multiplier because your daily expenses drop. Conversely, if your new destination is equally or more expensive than where you currently live, your increased daily expenses rapidly consume the initial grant, leaving you financially worse off. The upfront cash grant becomes completely irrelevant if your baseline housing and living costs outpace the incentive. Because these programs are incredibly popular, they've also spawned a darker secondary industry, copycat scams and misleading social media offers promising similar deals with zero backing. Always verify a program directly through an official .gov or established economic development website before you hand over personal data or pay any fake application fees. But even if the program is legitimate, people wildly underestimate the massive logistical friction and heavy physical reality of uprooting their entire lives. A spreadsheet showing compelling financial math does absolutely nothing to help you navigate an unfamiliar place when you don't know a single person there. Programs that prioritize built-in community elements, like organized meetups, onboarding events, and co-working access, yield significantly better long-term outcomes for their participants. Prioritizing a quick cash payout over community infrastructure often leads to intense social isolation, which causes people to move back home within a year, instantly nullifying any financial gains they made. We can synthesize all these variables, the taxes, the cost of living, and the community support, into a final evaluation to see who should actually pursue these offers. This decision tree starts with the first critical filter, establishing that you have stable, portable remote income that won't drop when you move. If you clear that, the second filter asks, does the destination inherently save you money on housing and daily expenses? Finally, the third filter evaluates the program itself. Do they offer built-in community infrastructure to prevent social isolation? This separates two distinct profiles. The strategic optimizer, who plans for taxes and lands in the green, is an ideal candidate. Someone desperate for a quick cash fix lands in the red and should avoid these programs entirely. If you cannot confidently check all three of those boxes, accepting a relocation grant is highly likely to be a financial mistake for your specific situation. The money these cities are offering is completely real, but it is gross taxable income. It is not a net tax-free windfall. That check is only one minor variable in a much larger multi-year relocation equation. Never let a bold marketing number make a major life decision for you. The ultimate test before you pack a single box is simple. What this specific destination makes sense for your career, your finances, and your lifestyle, even if that cash check never arrived. Because the true value of a relocation grant isn't the upfront money itself. It's how strategically you protect that money and how well you integrate it into a sustainable transition for your life. Right now, dozens of American cities are leveraging a structural shift in the economy to essentially purchase local growth. They are paying remote workers thousands of dollars in cash to relocate. These offers are entirely real. Well-funded, active programs operate in established hubs across the Midwest. You will also find these incentives in scenic regions that need an influx of new residents to support local spending and infrastructure. While a $10,000 relocation incentive is a legitimate financial tool, it also triggers a set of legal and financial obligations that rarely appear in the initial advertisement. The actual value of these moves depends on the net benefit remaining after every requirement in the contract has been satisfied. This graphic shows the distance between the advertised headline and the operational reality. On the left is the figure used to drive applications. Marketing naturally focuses on that $10,000 gross figure because it is the most effective way to grab attention. However, a complete financial assessment must include the details on the right: marginal tax liabilities, strict clawback terms, and the actual cost of living arbitrage required to make the move profitable. We need to break down exactly how these three variables function, ensuring a free relocation doesn't result in a net loss. Success requires treating the incentive as a complex financial contract rather than a simple windfall. Most participants overlook a single detail that doesn't arrive until the following April. The federal government does not classify a relocation grant as a gift, and legal authorities don't differentiate between earned income and an economic development incentive. That $10,000 is classified strictly as taxable earned income, making it subject to federal and potentially state income tax. This waterfall chart shows how the grant actually hits a bank account, starting with the gross incentive. To manage tax liability, treat this like 1099 income, immediately setting aside a percentage of each payment for the IRS. Once you account for taxes, this diminished remaining cash demonstrates why it's a mistake to prioritize the initial payout over the actual cost of living difference. If you relocate to a city with expenses similar to your current home, post-tax cash is consumed by living costs within months. The true financial engine of these programs is moving into a deeply affordable market, where your housing savings compound year over year, creating an ROI that dwarfs the initial grant. The upfront money is a subsidized entry fee that helps cover your moving costs so you can access those long-term savings. The headline cash facilitates the move, but your actual return is determined by your localized cost of living math and tax preparation. Moving past the spreadsheet, you have to navigate the practical logistics of applying for and sustaining the relocation. The popularity of these programs has led to a rise in copycat scams and misleading social media aggregators offering deals with no official backing. You should only verify program details and share personal data through official municipal or state economic development websites. Once legitimacy is confirmed, you must review the residency commitment for any clawback provisions. When you accept these funds, you are trading your geographic flexibility for a fixed period of time. If you lose remote employment or move back for a family emergency before the minimum commitment ends, you are legally required to repay the incentive. This risk highlights a final factor: moving purely for the financial upside while ignoring the human side of relocation. Moving to an entirely unfamiliar city where you have no existing network frequently leads to profound social isolation. The most successful relocations occur in programs that actively fund community infrastructure, such as co-working spaces and organized local meetups. Failing to build local connections is the primary reason participants break their commitment periods and leave early. Financial optimization is useless if social isolation forces a move that triggers a costly clawback repayment. These relocation incentives are a powerful multiplier for geographic arbitrage, but they require careful planning to be effective. This quadrant chart breaks down who should pursue these programs by measuring financial return against your level of preparation. In the top right is the optimizer. This is a secure remote worker who prioritizes a lower cost of living and manages the grant like untaxed freelance income. By planning for the tax liability immediately, their transition remains financially stable, allowing the long-term cost of living savings to accumulate. In the bottom left is the lifeline seeker. This is someone making the move because they require an immediate cash injection to cover existing debts. Relying on the gross payout for survival creates a dangerous position. An impending tax bill or an emergency move will trigger a clawback that can be financially devastating. Your next step is to spend 20 minutes searching for relocation incentives in regions you would genuinely enjoy living in. Prioritize official government portals and always calculate the grant against your marginal tax rate before starting an application. Additionally, check for industry-specific incentives. States often provide more generous terms for healthcare workers, teachers, or skilled trades professionals than for general remote workers. These programs reward the viewers who read the fine print and plan for the trade-offs, rather than those who follow a headline number alone.